couple more to come. Come on, Nick.
That's what I'm saying. At this end, I'm not going the other end. It just gets taller and taller.
Yeah, you go in the middle, Nick. You're a bit taller.
Nick Knight.
Yeah, Nick's coming in.
When you're ready.
Yeah, it's all right.
Finishing at 9.
Good.
I'm on Webby, I'm finished.
Thanks,
Yeah,
John.
yeah, yeah.
Is that it?
I was recording.
Have a good evening.
Nice to see you.
And you, Phyllis.
Just put that microphone. Just put the microphone down. So yeah. Thank you.
Oh, mate, I'll do it.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, His Royal Highness Mr. Roberts, less from me and more from you. Ladies and gentlemen, Harry Roberts.
Don't clap, I'm not used to it. I played for Coventry. But anyway, welcome everybody. It's great to see you here again. It's a sad thing that this is the last one because it used to be 3 times in the season and it's reduced it to 2. But nevertheless, it's going to be a special one. We've got 2 great guys. And welcome. I know this is your first time here. And you've been here before, but you're welcome here as well. And everybody remember how well you did last time. So thank you for making these 2 and myself feel so welcome. Great to see all the shirts are out and the kids wearing the shirts, the parents wearing the shirts, and yeah, long may it last. So let's get straight into it and ask a few questions. Have you got the microphones? Yep. You ready, Steve? Right, we'll start with Luke. Welcome, as I say. Well played on Saturday. A great game. I wouldn't say it's a surprise to come in, but it was interesting to see that the 2 centre backs were rested. That's what the manager used to tell me when I played, being rested. And then you came in and played really, really well.
Yeah, I think I've done alright. Like you said, it's Bob and Kitch have played really well this season, so it's kind of been more of a supporting role for me. But yeah, it was nice to play, and I like playing with lads quite a fair bit. So yeah, like I said, it probably wasn't the best result, but performance-wise, I feel like if we would have stuck 1 or 2 away, I think performance-wise, people would be talking about it a bit differently.
Yeah, I think it could have been. You get that first one in, and I think it could have snowballed. And Joel, I interviewed Joel after the game. He won Player of the Match, and I was surprised that he's, unless I've grown to 6 foot tall, he's not that tall, and yet he wins so many balls in the air. He's got that just, the lovely timing of just nudging him a little bit just beforehand, and then getting in the header in. And he played really well, didn't
Yeah, he's a bit like Bidwell, to be fair.
Yeah.
Just a little aggressive little fella. No, Lats is, like I said, Bob and Kitch have done brilliant this season, but Lats in his own right is a very good player. And like you said, he's not the tallest, but he wins more than his fair share of headers and duels and whatnot.
Well, we'll start with the questions that have been asked. Having been at Ipswich since the age of 11, you are surely aware of the rivalry between your team and Norwich. It's like us and maybe Leicester and Birmingham. When did you first play against them, and what was the score, and what was the atmosphere like? Was it playing such a fierce derby?
What, as a kid or as a...
When you got into the first team?
Well, the first time I played against them would have been at home in the year that we got promoted, and we drew 2-2. But yeah, as we turned up to the ground, there was fans everywhere, flags going off and whatnot. So yeah, it's probably the most intense atmosphere I played at, and then playing at Carrow Road, I think we lost 1-0. Nunes scored a free kick, which was also equally as intense.
And having been there, how long were you there? Since the age of 11?
Yeah, so I signed there when I was 11, left when I was 26, 15 years there.
So, 2 things. How did you find it having to leave the club that you've been there for so long, and why was Coventry the team that you chose?
It was a difficult decision. I think my family was really settled there. They got the manager there is really good. You got a really good group of players, but it's probably not worked out the way I wanted to. I wanted to leave and and play more football than what I was getting at Ipswich, and it's probably not worked out like that at the minute. But equally, I also wanted to go to a team that had a brilliant squad, and I think Coventry do. You know, and I wanted to be challenging for promotion again, and that's where I'm at.
Now, you know, you've played in League One and Championship and the Premier League. What is the greatest difference in each of the leagues? Was it a vast difference getting into we're just preparing ourselves, just you know, for when it happens. But what advice could you give us from playing in the Premiership?
I think in terms of athletes, they're better athletes. Physically, they can get through more work, and with that, you know, they then punish the mistakes that you make late on during games. I think when I was at Ipswich, I lost count the amount of games we were winning 1-0 with 10 minutes to go, and then we ended up losing 2-1. You know, so I think physically there's that element to it, and then obviously when you do make mistakes in games, more often than not it gets punished in the champ, but in the Premier League they'll punish you 99 times out of 100.
Well, I don't think they'd be any fitter than Jake, by the way. But let's go to you, Jake. Having been involved in both the Luton and the Sunderland playoff games, and I know it's pretty obvious, but are you more eager for a straight promotion this year, which is what everybody wants? And what insights can you share with the squad who haven't played in the playoffs before?
Yeah, not just my experience here, but after my record overall in the playoffs isn't great. So yeah, to go up to top two is obviously what you want, and we're in a great position to do it. So yeah, obviously that's what we're all striving for. But in terms of passing any experience down about it, that's not on the radar at the minute. It's just you say tunnel vision towards the top two, and say that's what we're all aiming for, and you know that's what we're going to get hopefully.
It was disappointing last night, wasn't it? You know, I wanted Sheffield United to win, but what the heck, we just have to do it ourselves on Monday. So with games for you, Jake, with games for England under 16s to 19s, you've scored 2 goals and beaten Germany in a penalty shootout. Which game? We've gone from one place to another here. Which game for England do you think was your best and why?
You take me back a long time there, to be fair.
He's still in England, though, you know.
I think if I remember rightly, I think the Germany final was my first tournament as well. I think maybe so. To get called up for the first time and then say go and do that in the final, it just topped it off nicely, really. So I think if I remember, I think we might have won 2-1 on pens. It wasn't a great penalty shootout. Yeah, I remember Jack Butland was in goal. He saved 3 or 4 penalties. Yeah, so yeah, you say you take me back a long time there, to be fair. So
well, you think yourself lucky to think how long ago I played. Luke, you were known as a centre back or a right full back. Have you always been a defender, or if not, what other positions have you played, and where would you like to play?
Yeah, I think I had a little bit of a spell in centre mid when I was about 16. Quickly got pushed back. I think when you're tall as a kid, you naturally just get pushed further back towards your own goal. But yeah, if I was going to play anywhere, I think I'd probably choose a striker. Get the most money, don't they?
I don't know, you tell us, do they? Everybody wants to be a striker, don't they? You know?
It's the easiest job, that's why.
Yeah, right. We'll pass that on. Yes, I'm sure they'll enjoy that. But yeah, that's the thing though, and it gets me every time. I was a defender, played 500 games. You could play 8 to 9 minutes brilliantly. One mistake and they score, you've had a shocker. A striker can play 8 to 9 minutes, having a right bad time, missing open goals, scores the winner, is a hero. If you hear that, kids, be a striker, okay? You get all the money, like he says, and you get all the glory as well. But do you think defenders defend as well as they have done in the past? Because do you think much more is asked of a defender now?
Yeah, I think it's a different kettle of fish nowadays. I think, you know, when you go back to Ferdinand Vidic, I think there was in a bank of 4, both fullbacks weren't pushing on to be wingers. So they're probably a bit less exposed than we are now, and also you can't really tackle these days without it being a free kick or a yellow card. So I think the element of defending has changed a bit, so I probably would say no to your question. I think probably defenders defended better back in the day because it was more their focus.
Yeah.
I feel like nowadays defenders are asked to build out with the ball from the back, be an option and whatnot. So there's a lot more strings to defenders' work nowadays.
Do you agree with that, Jay?
Yeah, I think it's probably the last 10, 15 years it's definitely gone that way, but I do see signs of it. I think it comes in cycles, and I do think it's coming back round a little bit. You know, when you look at, say, Arsenal top of the Premier League at the minute, the way they defend, and then, you know, they've got 4 defenders at the back, or defenders first, and then obviously fullbacks can get forward as well, like all top fullbacks. But yeah, so I think what Wolfie says is right. I think now lads are asked to defend 1v1 a lot of the time, which, you know, I don't think was the case so much back in the day. But in terms of the principles of defending, like we talked about, I think that's definitely coming back into fashion, if that's the right word. But I definitely see it coming back round a little bit.
So, you know, say you were, well, you've been in both camps, a centre back and a full back, as you have. The system of pushing the full backs on exposes the 2 centre backs the balls into the corner. Is that, do you like playing like that, or would you, if you were a centre back, want your full back to, you know, older players like myself always revert back to, you know, the ball's on the other side, I'm the other full back after took round to offer cover, but that doesn't happen nowadays. Would you think you would prefer it that way, or do you like the way we play now with the full backs pushed on?
Yeah, I think if you listen to any sort of football podcast, I don't know if you hear Gary Neville talk about it a lot, and he comments on some of the things he's seeing, and he says like he would never be comfortable doing it because that's just not the way they were coached in you know, 20 years ago. But I think the lads now, you say someone, say Wolfie's age, mid-20s, has probably been coached all the way through that you're going to have to defend 1v1. So I think everyone is comfortable doing it. It's we say you ask some of the older lads that have finished their careers and stuff, you know, I don't think they dream of it. But say the game's changing all the time. So it's you know, I think within a cycle of your career, you probably see 2 or 3 really big changes, and you just have to adapt to that.
Well, it's happening now, isn't it? As you said, the long throws, balls forward a little bit quicker than they have in the past. But you know, you know, we'll agree sometimes to disagree. I love it. I bet you do. You love a good tackle. I've seen good tackles. I've seen great tackles, and they excite me just as much as a through ball or a cross into the box.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's you say it's changed in the fact that you can't go smashing into somebody because it's, you say more than likely it's going to be a yellow card now. But if you can still make that last ditch tackle or play one off the line, and you still get that pride of defending. You know, that I don't think that'll ever go away for anyone.
Luke, players are often sent out on loan. I've done it. It happened to me to gain experience. At only 19 when you went out to Bromley, and then 20 when you went to Swindon. Did you embrace and enjoy your loan spells, or did it concern you that you might not be in the long-term plans there, Twitter? Did you know when you go out on loan, you didn't, you know, did they want me or not?
No, I think it's just a natural step for particularly young defenders. I think with strikers and wingers nowadays, you can get thrown in for the last 20 minutes when you're a kid. It's more difficult. I think, especially when I was coming through, you know, I had Mick McCarthy as a manager, and it was I'm not sure he's going to chuck a 18-year-old centre half in. So I don't think it was a concern. That wasn't in the plans. I think it was just about getting that experience.
And you do get good experience, do you? I remember going on loan to Hereford, and I went there as a boy of 17, and came back as a man after a month.
Yeah,
playing against real tough characters.
Even not just the playing. I think being in the change room with men, as you say, you know, it's not just about playing with them. You know, you train with them every day, and you know, the lower down levels that you go, you know, I think Bromley was National League, Swindon was League 2. You know, you got people that are actually fighting for their lives out there. You know what I mean? Like every week, and every win bonus is really important to them. So every training session just means so much to them that you can't help but learn. Really.
Let's get a question for you both. For both of you, who has had the biggest influence on you becoming a professional footballer?
Probably my old man, really. Drove me everywhere as a kid, so every game was there, rain or shine, you know. So yeah, probably him. There was a point when I went on trial at Ipswich when I was about 11. I had a 6-week trial, and after 2 weeks I wanted to sack it in because I didn't enjoy how serious it was. You know, I like playing football to mess about with my mates. And my old man just sat me down and said, "Look, you got a month left, you might as well stick it out and see what happens."
And the rest is history.
Yeah, thankfully I did, yeah.
What about you, Jane?
Yeah, I'd have to say the same. I'd have to say my dad, to be fair. Especially the way my sort of youth career went with being outfield, then going in goal and coming, signing at Everton, coming back out of goal. He was nothing but supportive of whatever I wanted to do. He never pushed me into anything, just supported me. And then going into my senior career, you know, I think I'm approaching 600 games. I think he's probably been to at least 580 of them. He's been everywhere up and down the country. Tuesday nights, you know, travelling down from Southport to Portsmouth away and places like that. So definitely say my dad.
I think I saw him in one of the rooms. You said to me that he waved to his name. I played 500 games professionally. My dad didn't see me play once. So it didn't always, it seems to whoever I talk to on here, it says that their parents were really a big influence on them. And I think the fact that my dad wasn't, that was the influence on me that I wanted to prove. So he wanted me to be a boxer. More like a Labrador actually, but yeah, so he never once came to see me play. But it's all different, you know, that's the thing about it. Let's just, right, what about the best player played with or against?
I can start with against, just off the top of my head. In the Championship, obviously there's been some players that have gone on to play for England and stuff like that in the last few years. I'd probably say Jack Grealish was up there when we played against him. I think he was QPR at the time when Swansea, when Aston Villa were in the Championship. And obviously everyone knows what the Championship can be like. It's hustle and bustle, it's, you know, up and down, you know, it's frantic at times, and I think he's probably the best I've ever seen at controlling the tempo of a game. You know, he just took the ball, you know, like he is now. He'd draw a foul if he needed to draw a foul, he'd slow it down, and the whole game was played at his pace really, which is something you don't see very often in this league, I don't think. So that's one that's always sticks in my mind.
Were you glad he played on the left?
Yeah, just watching him on the other side thinking, yeah, please don't swap over here. And then with Abireze was at QPR when I was there, and he had a similar style to him, just everything was smooth. He's not the quickest, but he never seemed to be able to catch him. You know, he'd throw his body one way, throw you off balance, and he was just away from people, just, you know, really smooth, and a really nice lad as well, so it makes it nicer when you see good lads go on to do well like he has done. So I'll probably say them two just off memory.
I think, I'm not sure he's the best I played with, but my favourite player to play with was probably David McGoldrick when I was just first come through at Ipswich. In terms of Mick McCarthy's teams, they're a bit 4-4-2, channel balls, fighting after it, but he was kind of that number 10 that just had that freedom to get on the ball and do what he wanted, and the amount of like chips, long range goals he'd score in training, you just, you know, sometimes you get them players, you just sit back and I wish I could do that, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It just seems so natural.
Yeah, like everything was just off the cuff, but kind of just the movement of him was just a joke. Playing against, I'd probably say two. Obviously I played against Haaland, and it was difficult because he scored a hat-trick, but I feel like he only touched the ball 3 times. So I'm kind of sitting there thinking, I'm not sure I had a bad game there, but he scored 3 goals. So
I've had that against Lineker. I couldn't tell you what Lineker looked like from the front, but from the back, that's all I ever saw of him. He scored a hat-trick when I was playing with them.
I had, when I was on loan at Swindon, I was playing fullback, and Semenya was on loan at Newport at the time, I think maybe from Bristol City, and he only came on for half an hour. Luckily he was playing against the left back, and he was just unbelievable. It was probably the first time in my career I've come off the pitch and who the hell was that? And then obviously now he's gone on to play for Man City.
A player unfortunate that's just passed away, John Robertson, was one of them. I was playing right back and he's left wing, and he's another one where he was saying he was looked overweight, he smoked, he didn't really have a quick turn of pace, but he just seemed to beat everybody. He could just drop a belly and go the other way. But he was such a top player. It's so sad for me now to think that he's sadly passed away recently, and he's one of the era that I played in. So makes me feel as if each night's special for me at the moment. But yeah, there's been some great players I've played with at Coventry. Tommy Hutchison was probably one of our favourites from the past. Steve Hunt, another one of the talented. Gary Gillespie at the back went on to play for Liverpool, another player that I played with. And I used to say to Gary, and this was the sign of great players, I'd say, you look as if you've got so much time on the ball. You don't look nervous. He says, Harry, I'm shaking like a leaf. He says, but it's just the way I am. And he went on to have a brilliant career for Coventry and for Liverpool. And you learn from these players as well, and that's the important thing as well. Let's get back to the questions again. Luke, having joined Coventry on the 1st of September 2025, you've been here for 5 months and played in 13 games. How are you settling in at Brighton with the rest of the squad? And is Frank a hard taskmaster? And are you ready for the next 16 cup finals?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think in terms of people and players, is right up there with one of the best groups that I've been involved with. You know, there's not many days in the changing room where I don't sit there. You know that feeling when you get in your stomach that your ribs start because you're laughing. You know, it's a really good group to be involved in. Is Frank a what? A hard taskmaster?
Is he? Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, is he one of these people that makes you work really hard? Is he
yeah, I don't.
Is he strict and?
No, he does. It's not a question of him making you work hard. I feel like he's got. Well, obviously, he's Frank Lampard. He's kind of got that aura that you want to work hard for. Do you know what I mean? He's been one of the best midfielders, particularly in England. So yeah, I think it's probably just more of a case of because of who he is that you just want to do your best for him.
And how do you find him? And you've had a couple of managers here.
Yeah, I was just actually thinking back to your last question. I probably should have answered him when you asked who played against, because yeah, I remember playing against him in a cup tie when we were at Brentford for Chelsea. So
Yeah.
there's some players, but yeah, I think like Wolfie said, he's not a screamer and a shouter, but it's more his presence, and I think having known what he's done, you know the standards he'd worked to as a player. You know the sort of standards he expects and he doesn't have to scream and shout about it. You know, he's not walking around the changing room with his medals hanging off him. It's like he doesn't need any introduction to who he is and what he's done. So it's like you know that's what is expected if you want to, and you know he's achieved. So you know the information he's giving you is right.
And are the coaching staff, is there a good guy, bad guy? Is there a good cop, bad cop? Or
I think Demps is the good cop. I wouldn't say he's really a bad cop, but Demps is just a great guy.
is it?
Yeah, he's an unbelievable fella.
Because in the previous regime, there was sort of Mark was quite a good guy, and
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely a different dynamic now than it was before.
can you put that into words? Which you are doing, obviously. But I mean, how is it different?
Yes, I think it was well known that you say it was not good cop, bad cop, but obviously Adi was a, if you say taskmaster is the words you used, and it was like, you say if you knew if you didn't do something you said, you knew you were getting it. There was no two ways about it. Whereas I think the approach now is, they'll probably sit down and maybe go through some clips with some lads, or do it in a slightly different way. So there's no screaming and shouting, but there's still high standards that everyone wants the same result at the end of the day. Everyone wants to have us win football matches, but it's just everyone goes about it a slightly different way.
So there's no cups being thrown and kicked and
Not yet, no.
Not yet.
Still 16 games ago, so we'll see what happens.
when you're playing, when you're not playing football, how do you two relax?
Two young kids.
So you don't relax.
Football is the relaxing part. It's
Oh, is it?
the day's work starts when you get home for me anyway. So, no, just trying to spend time with families. I've got little boys 4, little girls 2. So they they keep me busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a little girl who's 3, so just got too much attitude for me to handle. And, to be honest with you, that's why I got a dog, so I can just walk in.
Do you have any hobbies though? You maybe from the past, BC, before children.
Yeah. I started giving paddle a go, to be fair, in the last 18 months when I was at Ipswich, but can't find a partner down there, so if anyone wants to play paddle with me, then let me know.
Have we got any internationals in here? Paddle's a sport like tennis. Do you go to Lloyd's?
Yeah.
Lloyd's, yes. Nobody in here can know. Well, I can't prove God in there, so you want to do that. What about you?
No, growing up in school, I used to play all sports: football, cricket, table tennis, basketball. Just loved any sport really. Probably still say now I don't play as much, but if there's anything going on the telly, any sport, I'll watch that. And I have 2 dogs as well, so get out and walk there as much as I can, and just find that's quite a good way to switch off sometimes.
I found it really interesting that you have a cricket stumps and whatever and play cricket in the training ground. We never ever did anything like that. There was no other sport we played when I was training at Ryan and whatever. But now you've got cricket, you've got dart. Should we talk about darts? I mean, Sakamoto. He's that handy, isn't he?
Well, he was handy that one time. I haven't seen him since.
Tell us the story, Jake. Tell us the story. It's the greatest thing you've seen in a changing room, right?
That was actually Paolo's words, to be fair, not mine, but I can't disagree with it. It was, we had the dartboard in the changing room. Obviously, some of the lads, regulars, Kitch, Bobby, trying to think who else, was a few lads that are regular and got pretty decent. I don't think anyone had ever seen Tats throw a dart in his life. Steps up to the hockey one day for whatever reason, bangs the first one in, bangs the second one in, gets nervous, steps away for about 2 minutes, and then steps back up and put the other one in, 180, just out of nowhere. So no one's ever seen him throw a dart before that, and no one's seen him throw one since.
You ought to call him Ted Lasso. Did you ever see the Ted Lasso incident where he did that? Oh, it's brilliant. It's a brilliant. Yeah, well, we'll have to ask him if we ever get up here.
The way the changing room and the physio room is at the training ground is sort of next door to each other, but there's a bit of it's 2 separate buildings, but they're next to each other. And they said people were in the physio room and just heard a massive roar go up, didn't know what was going on, and that was what it was.
And he's not picked it up since. I mean, you think that you leave it at that, don't you? When you've done such an epic thing, you say, I've had enough.
There's lads that would play for months. I think Brad Collins was one actually at the time as well. He'd playing, and I think he was one of the last ones to hit a 180. He probably played the most, and then Tats has just stepped up out of nowhere, put it in, and then they've never seen him play since. So.
Does he play cricket as well? But he wouldn't have played that, would he?
No, he's not keen on the cricket. To be fair,
how's that?
To be fair, the way the change room set up, him and Simo are probably in prime mid-wicket position where they're just getting battered with the ball, so they didn't spend much time with the cricket, to be fair.
Right, let's get back to more serious things. I mean, you touched on this earlier. At the age of 16, you became Everton's youngest player to appear in a European match. What do you remember of the build-up and the match itself?
The build-up, I just remember going into training the day before the game. It wasn't really on my radar. Obviously, you knew the first team had a game, but I wasn't thinking, I might have a chance. But the way it worked out, I think the first team had a lot of injuries at the time, and they were already qualified, so it was sort of a dead rubber game for them. And then just got to training, was in the meeting for the game, and then went outside, and all I can remember is doing the set pieces, and David Moyes giving me some instructions on what we're doing in set pieces and saying you're going to play tomorrow. So that's all I can remember from the build-up, really. Not a lot, to be honest. yeah, and then the game itself just, it's just all a bit of a blur, to be honest. When you look back, I just remember going out there. I wasn't nervous. I don't think I was old enough to realise the magnitude of it, really, which is probably a good thing. Just went into it, just tried to give it my best as I always did, and that was about it, really. The full process was pretty simple, especially at that age.
Yeah, you don't worry about anything, do you? Brilliant.
No, I think you look back now, and I think the record still stands, like, 15 years later, whatever it is, and you don't really realise at the time, but then it's like a lot of your career, you don't realise in the moment, then you look back on things and you think, that was quite good sort of thing. So you say at the time it was probably a strength, being that young.
But talking about at the time, most players dream of playing at Wembley once during their careers, and you already played there twice for Coventry. What was it like behind the scenes, and what was it like walking out in front of 38,000 screaming Coventry fans? That must have made an impact.
Yeah, I think I've said this before as well. Being on the bus on the way through, the way it takes you sort of under the ground, and you just obviously on the bus from the hotel, and all of a sudden you come out of the hotel and you turn around the corner, and it's just a sea of blue everywhere. And that's something that I think will still stay with my career and probably the rest of my life, to be fair. Obviously the game was the game, but it's still, you see that support, and you see all you could see, as far as you could see, all you could see was sky blue. So it was, it was amazing, really.
And Luke, do you have a standout moment at all so far in your career? Something that you can sort of lay your hand and say, yeah?
Yeah, I think probably promotion to the Premier League and then playing Liverpool the first day of the season. Probably the two standout ones for me.
Well, they could make it a little bit harder, couldn't they? Right. What was that like then?
To be fair, it was on both occasions when I got promoted, it was a bit strange, really. It's like we went into the games knowing we had to win to get promoted, and then we played Exeter. I think we were 5-0 at half time. So then the second half, we wish this would finish, and then played Huddersfield. And again, I think actually Rudy gave us the opening goal in that game, and then got subbed off on half an hour. So yeah, that both times was over before it started, really.
What about playing against Liverpool?
That was, in games like that, you kind of go into it not nervous because you kind of got a free hit. You're the newly promoted team. I think it was a 12:30 kickoff on the early kickoff, so you just go into it now. You're playing probably one of the best teams in the last decade, and just trying to see where you're at, really. And I think we got to half time 0-0, and then I think Trent and Salah turned it on a little bit, and we lost 2-0.
A couple of names just dropped in there, wasn't there? You might have heard of them before. I need my glasses. What about after football? I see. I look at you. I know you a lot better than I do you, but I just think you would progress naturally into coaching and management. Is that something you want to do, or have you got your sights set elsewhere?
Yeah,
The beach.
it's. I think when you're younger, it's not something you think about. You're just thinking about, you want to keep kicking on, and you want to stay in the team, and your focus is really just playing. And obviously, once you get past 30, it starts to creep up on you a little bit. So I've done the B license, so I'm away with my coaching badges, so I've made a start on them. I've done the level 1 scouting as well, so I'm just trying to sort of tick one thing off a year, and just when that day eventually comes, I've got some options, really. But I wouldn't say I'm set on either, really, because I don't think you really know until you've fully tried it, and then I wouldn't want to. I feel like coaching or management comes with that responsibility of, there's going to be a lot of young lads that are relying on you to make that next step, and I think you need to be sure that you can commit the same way I've committed to my playing career before I was to go and do that. So I'm chipping away at things at the minute, but I think until that day comes, I don't think you fully know. So concentrating on trying to get back back in the team in a minute, and hopefully still got a few more years playing. So yeah, so trying to prepare as best I can. But say still want to prolong my playing career as well.
Well, everybody says, you know, play as long as you can because you're a long time out of it. But I was speaking to Andy Wing, I was interviewing him on Saturday, and he's just been released sacked is another word, by Barrow. You know, I mean, you've got to be devoted if you want to go. But he did a great job at Banbury United, a great job at Solid Moors, and then got into the league with Barrow, and was doing okay. And then the gods above decided that he was no longer needed there, and he was gutted because they've not won since, and he was really upset about it. But he said it's totally immersive. It's every minute of every day of the year. You cannot take it, you know, you can't really step out of it. You have to be doing it all the time. So that's something to consider as well, because being a footballer, you know, your days are not too onerous, are they? You know, you do your training, and it's hard training, and it's fine-tuning athletes and racehorses. But you know, there's a rest period, and you can go and come away from it. I think management and coaching, you can't, because you say you do your scouting badge, because then you maybe say we're playing Middlesbrough, somebody's got to go and watch Middlesbrough, somebody got to do a report on it, it might have to be you, and then you're travelling all the way up there, and then the next day you're training. So it is a massive, massive job, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you can see that with, to be fair, all the managers I've played under, but one thing that sticks with me from that point of view is, so I grew up with Everton, with David Moyes in charge, and you know, as scholars at the time, we had to be in at 8 o'clock in the morning and then stay do our schoolwork, and we'd leave at 6:30, which is, you know, is quite a long day. Well, he'd be there before us, and he'd still be there after we left. So, you know, there's, and obviously, I think it's probably what you put in is what you get out. So, say unless you're prepared to do that and can commit to that, then it probably isn't the job for you.
Yeah, it certainly was the job for me. Teaching, lots of holidays is perfect. Have you got any, you know, aspirations to go along that way?
No, I don't think I'll be coaching or managing. I think maybe something behind the scenes in terms of being involved in scouting players, maybe. But equally, I think I could just finish playing and then never see me again.
Don't say it like that. I was speaking to Joel on Saturday, as I was saying, and I was talking about the dark arts in football, and it really is infuriating. We played a couple of teams this season, Saturday being one of them, where goalkeepers go down injured, allegedly injured, and players do, and it is so annoying for the fans because we know what's going to happen, and then the goalkeeper goes down, the team go to the manager, get another team talk and do whatever. I'm sure you're not coached in doing the dark arts, but what's your opinions about them?
To be fair, I think when I was at Ipswich, it was something that we was encouraged to do. We used to have it if we was under the cosh, and see the rules were a bit different, then you didn't have to go off.
Right.
So we used to have it. Colin Chapman used to be, he'd look at the boss, if the boss was up, he'd go down 30 seconds, we'd have a little regroup and then go from there. I think it's not ideal, you don't want to be doing it. It usually means you're in a spot of bother, but it can be handy and effective.
It's annoying though, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is annoying, but it's, you know, if teams are going to try and use it to their advantage against you, you can't then disadvantage yourself by not doing it as well. So in an ideal world, they'd probably change the rule, and you know, we have a meeting with the referees at the start of every season. It's like, this is going to change. You know, the one where defenders fall over in the corner when no one's touched them, that's, you know, we're not going to have free kicks for that. That's going to change. Everything's going to change, and it does for about 2 weeks, doesn't it? And then it just goes back to normal. So yeah, it's a tough one, but they say from the time wasting one, it's, yeah, in an ideal world you would want to do it, but at the same time you don't want to disadvantage yourself if someone else is trying to do it to you. So
yeah, I mean, I just think, you know, where's it got to end then? You know?
Yeah, well, that's it. I think,
you know, like when the goalkeeper goes down and they all come to the sideline, I think that should be banned. You
Yeah, I
can't,
think
you
everyone's-
can't come across. You've got to stay on the other side of the pitch.
Yeah, I think they say it's one of the things that I think the referees try and constantly change and say like, this is a rule change for this year, but it's just, I think sometimes they revert back to type quite easily. But then they say you close that loophole, there's something else that comes up. So yeah, I can understand it from a watching, you know, from a supporter's point of view. But you say it's, you know, teams are going to do it to us, so
You've got to do it,
yeah,
yeah,
it's a tough one.
And what about VAR then? Let's say, are you for it or against it or what? You know.
I think the issue is that they don't want to make a call either way. I don't think VAR is a bad thing. I think the issue is if the referee hasn't seen it fully, he'll wait for VAR, but VAR won't want to put the ref in a spot of bother, so they'll just say, oh, nothing doing, which is why a lot of the times the decisions that get made are wrong because they don't want to put each other on that spot, do you know what I mean, of coming over to the screen and then looking like you bottled it if you change your mind and stuff like that.
Yeah. What about you, Kid? You a fan of
I
it?
think after the Man United semi-final, I think I'm definitely against it. I think any of my mates that have ever asked me about it, you know, I've been consistent from the start. I think I'd rather just live and die by the referee's decision. I think, yeah, sometimes they'll get them wrong and sometimes they'll get big ones wrong, but I think you're seeing it now where I think if someone gets it wrong once, you know, in the heat of the moment or the speed of the game, that can happen. But there's times when they're watching it 20 times and still getting it wrong. So, you know, where's the? You'd rather just get on with the game and say sometimes they go for you, sometimes they go against you when it's frustrating. But I think, you know, that's the way it's been for however many years. I don't see why that's the change really.
I agree with that. But the words used there, we live and die. Do you remember much about the Sheffield United game when we had the enemy playing live before we live and die in these towns? What was that feeling like?
Yeah, to be fair, obviously, it was me and Jay Allen were on the bench, as we've been quite a lot, to be fair, but one of the advantages was that I was thinking, well, if I'm on the bench, I ain't missing that. So I made sure, got around the changing room, wished everyone all the best, and then shot out and watched it. So obviously the lads that start the game didn't see any of it, so...
It is a brilliant song though, isn't it? I mean, I don't know, but I'm sure you're the same. We just can't help it, can you? Everybody stands up and they clap, and they're not the easiest words to learn, by the way. It's good they've got the screen there, isn't it? But that sound, I've said it before to you. I had David Speedy as a guest, and he was sat next to me, and he's Chelsea, Liverpool, been around, and he said he heard that, and he said, Harry, he said, I've never heard anything like that. He said, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. It's so I don't know, it just gets you going, doesn't it? Is it the same for the players?
Yeah, no, I love it. It's almost, I feel like it's almost like one of the best kept secrets, you know. It's almost like no one knows how good it is until you come to the CBS and you hear it, and it's like, you know, if we were to get to the Premier League, I feel like it's one of them things that would go viral straight away, and it's almost like, well, yeah, it's been like that for years, sort of thing, you know. But yeah, it's, you say, spent quite a lot of time on bench this year, and it's like, you always find yourself singing along to it when it's like, you know, you get a chance to sort of soak it in a little bit more than you do when you're playing. It's, you say, it's, yeah. It's,
Do you ever play it in the change rooms?
no.
Are you in charge of music?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I am, but it's more of a, I ask people to put the songs in as well, so at the start of the season, say, everyone send me 2 songs, I'll put it in a playlist, and then just shuffle it, so then over the course of the weeks, everyone's got something that I always listen to. Although Rudy's been trying to sabotage it a bit at the minute, which...
What's his?
Yeah, it's not great.
No. I got killed with that. But I think we'll call it half time at the moment. Is that all right, Saul, for you?
Yeah.
Because
Some photos.
so some photos doing. Ladies and gentlemen, first half, put your hands together.